Imagine walking into a casino. You sit down at a card table, and you suddenly realize the house has already figured out exactly how to win about 75% of the hands you were about to play.
Right. I mean, you just wouldn't play that game.
You'd get up and walk away. But right now, there are, hundreds of thousands of workers playing exactly that game with their actual livelihoods.
So absolutely.
They're sitting in these roles where artificial intelligence has already figured out how to do up to 3/4 of their daily tasks. The house is winning, and the rules of the global economy are, well, they're fundamentally changing overnight.
Yeah, it's a complete paradigm shift.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are incredibly glad you are here with us. Today, we have a really fascinating stack of source material centering on a March 2026 announcement from EON AI Ventures.
A very ambitious announcement, too.
Seriously. They've launched something called the Sovereign Human Initiative in Africa. And our mission for this deep dive is to look at a genuinely massive question.
Which is, how do you handle that shift?
Exactly. Can a continent facing unprecedented demographic pressure use AI to completely leapfrog traditional economic models? Can you take this looming unemployment disaster and actually flip it into the biggest entrepreneurial opportunity of the century?
It's the multi-trillion-dollar question, really.
It is. And I am joined by a resident expert to help us break down these incredibly complex economic mechanics.
It is fantastic to be here. And I just want to set the lens for you, the listener, right away. Because while our source material focuses heavily on the African continent, do not mistake this for just a regional case study.
Right. It's way bigger than that.
Exactly. The geography is specific, but the underlying mechanisms. This is the blueprint. We are looking at a roadmap for how the global workforce, and that includes you, your colleagues, your specific industry, might survive and actually thrive as AI reshapes the very definition of work.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to truly understand why this initiative matters, we have to grasp the sheer mathematical scale of the challenge we are looking at.
The numbers are staggering.
They are almost hard to visualize. We are talking about a continent with a population of 1.4 billion people, and of that population, a massive 60% are under the age of 25.
Which is a huge youth bulge.
Yeah. And here is the metric from the source that really, stops you in your tracks. Every single year, 12 million young people enter the labor force.
12 million. Every 12 months.
Just to put that in perspective for you, that is like the entire state of Ohio or the entire country of Belgium looking for a brand new job every single year.
It is a tidal wave of human potential.
Mm-hmm.
But, human potential requires structural plumbing to actually go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the current reality on the ground is that the existing economic plumbing is just completely failing to absorb that wave.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at a critical baseline here. 85% of employment across the continent is currently in the informal economy.
And we should clarify that, because when we say informal economy, we aren't talking about cool freelance graphic design gigs.
No, not at all. We are talking about unregistered, unregulated, day-to-day survival work. Street vending, day labor, unregistered micro retail.
It's a scraping by.
Right. It provides just enough income to survive the week, but absolutely zero pathway for skill development. There's no safety net, and there's no upward mobility.
Because the formal corporate sector just cannot create jobs fast enough to catch those 12 million people. It's mathematically impossible.
Right. And as a result, youth unemployment is sitting between 30 and 50% across many nations. If you look at major economies like South Africa and Nigeria, youth unemployment actually peaks at over 50%.
Wow. Over half.
Yeah, you have half of an entire generation completely locked out of the formal economy.
Which makes the formal jobs that do exist incredibly precious. And that brings us to the looming threat we mentioned. For a long time, the business process outsourcing sector, or BPO, was supposed to be this great stepping stone, right?
Yes, the classic development model.
BPO is, your call centers, your IT support, your back office financial processing. And in South Africa alone, this sector employs 270,000 workers. It generates 75 billion rand in revenue.
A massive success story for them.
Huge. But now, that exact sector is sitting right in the crosshairs of artificial intelligence. It's facing an existential threat.
What's fascinating here is the precise mechanism of that threat. Because we aren't talking about the science fiction trope of a shiny robot walking into an office and physically taking a desk.
Right, it's way more subtle than that.
Much more. The data introduces us to a metric called AI task coverage. 80% of the workforce is AI task coverage doesn't look at a broad job title. It looks at the minute-by-minute workflow of a human being.
Okay, so breaking down exactly what you do from 9 to 5.
Exactly. And right now, AI can successfully cover 57 to 75% of the daily tasks in key BPO roles, things like customer service and financial analysis.
That is a terrifying percentage.
It is. If you spend 8 hours a day at a desk and a large language model can now do 6 hours of that work instantly, your job is highly vulnerable. And for everyone listening, let this sink in. This is not a theoretical 2030 projection. This is a present-day vulnerability for a $115 billion digital economy.
And the logical reflex when you hear that is always, well, let's just retrain them, right? If the AI is doing the basic data entry, let's just teach those 270,000 workers to do something else.
That's always the go-to political answer.
Right, but then you look at the traditional education math, and the whole concept just falls apart. A standard university degree right now costs somewhere between $3,000 and $15,000 minimum.
Minimum, often much more.
Meanwhile, the workers in these vulnerable roles might only be pulling in $300 to $1,500 a month. And then add to that the 4 years it actually takes to earn that degree.
The timeline is a killer.
It's like telling someone whose boat is actively sinking that their best option is to just, pause, tread water for 4 years, and build a luxury yacht.
That is a perfect analogy.
They don't have the materials, they certainly don't have the capital, and most importantly, the water is already up to their chest. They do not have the time.
The math simply does not scale. You cannot use 20th century educational timelines to solve a 21st century technological crisis.
No.
And that specific bottleneck is exactly what EON AI Ventures built the Sovereign Human Initiative to bypass.
I have to push back here, though, because the initiative claims to completely rewrite this economic reality with something called the virtual campus.
Right, their flagship platform.
Yeah. It's an immersive, AI-driven learning platform. And they claim it delivers globally accredited certifications for just $50 a year. And even crazier, it compresses the learning window down to 90 days.
It sounds impossible on paper.
It really does. Let's be real. If a worker is barely making $300 a month, how are they even accessing this? Are we just assuming someone in a rural or semi-urban area has a high-speed broadband connection and a $500 VR headset to log into a virtual campus?
It's a vital question. If the infrastructure requirement is too high, the whole thing is just a Silicon Valley pipe dream. But the XR, or extended reality and immersive learning solutions that EON brings to the table, are specifically designed to bypass heavy hardware requirements.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, we aren't talking about everyone needing an expensive tethered VR rig in their living room. We are talking about edge computing, highly optimized mobile-first deployment, and decentralized learning hubs.
Oh, so like a community center setup.
Precisely. Places where communities can access immersive environments collectively. The $50 price point isn't just the tuition. It actually represents the total systemic cost reduction.
Okay, that makes more sense. But beyond the hardware, you asked about the 90 days. How do you compress 4 years of university into 3 months?
That is the real magic trick here.
Right, because if someone tells me they can teach me a 4-year curriculum in 90 days, I'm going to assume it's a very generic, shallow crash course. How does a rapid AI-tutored program actually prepare someone for a high-stakes corporate job?
This is where we have to look at EON AI Ventures' 25-year track record in immersive intelligence. They are acutely aware of the limits of artificial intelligence.
The limits.
Yeah. Today's generic AI, the kind you or I might interact with on our phones, is incredible. But it only delivers about 80% quality, gets you 80% of the way there.
Which is fine if you're writing like a rough draft of an email or brainstorming a grocery list.
Exactly. But if you are operating in fintech, or enterprise-level business processing, or resource extraction, 80% accuracy is a disaster.
Yeah, you'd be fired instantly.
Those high-stakes industries require 100% precision. So the reason the virtual campus can compress learning into 90 days is that it acts like an autopilot training system.
Tell me more about that.
Think about a commercial jet.
Yeah.
The autopilot can fly the plane 80% of the time, cruising at altitude, maintaining speed, all that. You don't need to spend 4 years teaching a human how to hold the yoke straight in clear skies.
The machine already has that handled.
Right. You need to train the human for the 20% that the machine cannot handle. The complex takeoffs, the turbulent landings, the sudden, unpredictable storms.
I see.
The virtual campus doesn't waste time teaching workers the 80% that AI already task covers.
Yeah.
It hyper-focuses intensely for those 90 days on mastering that final, critical 20%.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because to train someone for that specific 20%, you have to know exactly what the 80% is first. You can't just guess.
No, guessing is how you waste billions of dollars in training.
Exactly. And the initiative uses a framework called the Anthropic Economic Index to do this mapping.
Yes, the Anthropic Economic Index is effectively a diagnostic scanner for the entire labor market.
And the numbers they pull from this index are incredibly granular. They know, for example, that customer service roles face 70% exposure to AI automation. Data entry specialists are at 67% exposure. Financial analysts are sitting at 57%.
They have it down to an exact science.
So instead of panicking that a job is just broadly gone, this index allows them to dissect the job like a surgeon. Let's use that customer service role as an example. If 70% of the role is exposed to AI, what does that actually look like on the ground?
On the ground, the 70% is the repetitive rules-based logic. An angry customer calls in because they were double charged. The AI can instantly pull up the account history, verify the transaction, cross-reference the company's refund policy, and generate the necessary paperwork.
Wow.
All of that happens in milliseconds. 5 years ago, a human spent 20 minutes clicking through menus to do that exact same thing. That is the 70% that is gone.
So what is the 30% that the human is still doing?
The 30% is de-escalating the angry human on the other end of the line.
Oh, the empathy piece.
Yes. It's applying nuanced judgment when a situation falls outside the standard policy. It's maintaining the brand's reputation. The Anthropic Economic Index isolates that 30%.
So it tells the system what to actually teach.
Exactly. It tells the educational platform, do not teach this student how to navigate database menus. Teach them advanced negotiation, crisis management, and complex problem solving. It provides a highly targeted roadmap.
Which naturally brings us to the ultimate paradigm shift of this entire plan. Because the Sovereign Human Initiative isn't trying to just, save these traditional jobs.
Hello.
In fact, they are trying to destroy the concept of the traditional job altogether. The explicit goal here is to transform these displaced workers into AI-augmented proprietors.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the very essence of leapfrogging. Let's look at historical precedent in Africa. 30 years ago, huge swaths of the continent lacked basic communication infrastructure, right?
Very few landlines.
Did they spend decades laying millions of miles of copper wire to build a 20th century landline telephone network?
No, they leaped completely over that phase.
Exactly. They went straight to mobile cellular networks and mobile banking.
They skipped the obsolete step entirely.
Precisely. And Dan Lajerskar, the chairman of EON AI Ventures, makes a core argument here. Africa's youthful demographics are not a vulnerability. They are the ultimate engine for this exact kind of leapfrog.
So, skipping the traditional corporate ladder entirely.
Right. The initiative isn't trying to herd 12 million young people a year into an outdated 1990s cubicle model. It aims to bypass the dependency of being an employee and jump straight into a new age proprietor economy.
Okay, but let's get out of the theory and into the mechanics. How does a 22-year-old former data entry clerk actually become a proprietor?
It takes a very specific structure.
The material outlines 3 major frameworks for this: the Global Diploma Alliance, the VAR Network, and the Venture Builder Economy. I need us to define these because throwing around terms like VAR Network doesn't mean much without knowing how it functions for the individual.
Absolutely.
Let's start with the Global Diploma Alliance. What is that?
The Global Diploma Alliance solves the problem of relevance. If you get a hyper-specialized 90-day certification in a local village, does a massive corporation in London or Tokyo actually care?
Usually no, they just ignore it.
Exactly. Often, no. The Alliance ensures that the credentials earned on the virtual campus are globally standardized and portable.
So it acts as a translator for their skills.
Yes. It means the skills you acquire are recognized as valid by the international digital economy.
Right.
You aren't just locally certified, you are globally certified.
Got it. So they have a credential the world actually respects. Now, what is the VAR network?
So VAR stands for value-added reseller. Think of it like a wholesale and retail relationship, but applied to artificial intelligence.
Okay, wholesale AI. I'm listening.
Instead of trying to get hired by a massive tech company to just do basic data entry, our 22-year-old takes an incredibly powerful AI tool that they have been trained to pilot. They use that tool to generate a service. Maybe it's complex financial auditing for small businesses. They have their local human context, their cultural fluency, and their 20% human judgment.
The part the AI can't do.
Exactly. And they sell that combined package to clients. They own the client relationship. They aren't an employee of the AI company. They are a reseller of the value the AI creates.
That is fascinating. So instead of competing against the machine for a wage, they are licensing the machine, managing it, and keeping the profits of its output.
That is the leapfrog.
But to do that, to set up a business, manage contracts, and handle finances, you need infrastructure. Is that where the venture builder economy comes in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can't just hand someone an AI tool and say, hey, good luck, go be an entrepreneur.
Right, they'd get bogged down in taxes and legal documents immediately.
The venture builder ecosystem provides the digital scaffolding. It offers the legal, financial, and operational frameworks required to spin up a micro-business almost instantly.
Oh, that's incredibly smart.
It removes the massive friction of incorporating a business, managing compliance, and processing international payments. It allows that 22-year-old to focus entirely on delivering value through their AI tools rather than drowning in administrative red tape.
And the most crucial part of all these frameworks is that they are built entirely around measurable outcomes. We aren't just talking about giving people a sense of abstract empowerment.
No, it's highly empirical.
We are talking about strict metrics, time to competency and income stabilization. The entire structure is designed to take an individual who might otherwise be forced into selling goods on the street in the informal economy and rapidly transition them into an independent value creator.
Into global industries like fintech or resource extraction.
Exactly. The AI handles the heavy lifting of the task, and the human proprietor guides the strategy, the ethics, and the final outcome.
It completely redefines what it means to enter the workforce. You are no longer bringing your hands to a factory line or your keystrokes to a cubicle. You are bringing your judgment to an automated process.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this right now? We started this deep dive by looking at AI as a massive, overwhelming shadow,
It's
right?
a very intimidating one.
An incredibly fast-moving threat that could decimate the global BPO sector and exacerbate a massive demographic crisis. But when you look under the hood of frameworks like the Sovereign Human Initiative, you see a completely different narrative.
A narrative of opportunity.
It proves that workforce displacement doesn't have to end in economic collapse. By utilizing highly targeted, drastically affordable, and hyper-accelerated retraining, a 90-day window for $50 AI automation actually becomes the very catalyst needed for widespread, decentralized entrepreneurship.
It's turning the problem into the solution.
It flips the script. Instead of desperately trying to manage an unemployment crisis, we are looking at the tools to unlock a radically new economic era where individuals own the output of their work.
And I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go back to your own workflow today. It builds right on what EON has identified.
Lay it on us.
If generic AI will soon be able to solve 80% of any given problem instantly, but the global economy will always require 100% precision for high-stakes operations, then we need to fundamentally rethink our personal development.
How so?
The ultimate skill of the future won't just be knowing how to type a clever prompt into a chatbot. Everyone will know how to do that. The most valuable, irreplaceable skill in the entire global economy will be mastering that final 20%.
The human element.
Yes, it will be human intuition. It will be the complex, empathetic judgment needed to manage relationships. It will be the ultimate accountability that a machine can never, ever replicate. The machine will inevitably do the 80%. But the future belongs to the person who can guarantee the final 20%.
The machine flies the plane, but you are the one deciding where it lands. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. The ground is shifting under the global economy faster than ever before, but there are roadmaps being drawn in real time. Keep questioning your assumptions. Keep learning where you fit into that 20%, and we'll be right here to help you navigate it next time.